Welcome back to another rapid response video, everyone. Today's comment is coming from Jason's World, who says obscure, lesser known characters that you think would do really well if they were given a show or movie. For me, I'd say someone like Animal Man or Etrigan. First of all, two very solid options you chose from there. Now, what I'm going to do is, of course, obscure characters in movies or shows. Who deserves it? But I'm also going to look at it from the perspective of obscure characters who simply deserve to be known in any sort of way, who deserve to have their time in the spotlight, or who simply should be getting used more, even if it means being showcased in other characters' projects. Those lesser known characters have to start somewhere, and perhaps that would be the best way to do so. Now, with that being said, I do have 8 characters and some reasonings for them, so let's get into it. Funny enough, the first 2 characters we're going to look through here does have some sort of connection to Martian Manhunter in a way. So the first character is Bloodwynd, or also known as the Superman of Hell. This is a guy who tried to absorb all the pain and Metropolis using his empathic powers, which obviously did not go according to plan. He did end up absorbing some of the psychic signatures of Doomsday, in which Martian Manhunter tried to assist Bloodwynd into taking him down. Bloodwynd needed to sacrifice himself and absorb Doomsday into his own body, being crushed down into a psychic gem. Now, Bloodwynd, or his real name, Raphael, was dragged down to Hell, in which he is parts of Doomsday and parts of Martian Manhunter. So you're really giving this character a complete good side and bad side, which really makes him interesting. A lot of people claim that this character is somewhat DC's version of Spawn, which I think that is a fair comparison. And now his goal is to descend through all levels of hell, freeing all the damned or tormented souls who don't deserve to be there. Bloodwynd experiments with the science fiction side of storytelling along with the arcane. He will deal with a lot of demonology and other characters who span the DC universe in the magical sense. He's a really powerful character who deals with a lot of attributes of DC that maybe its own characters don't really know much about, and he also travels a realm that many characters don't travel every day. And I think he is someone who is certainly obscure and deserves to be utilized more. Now, the second character who I claimed had another connection to Martian Manhunter here is Jemm, the last son of Saturn. He pretty much shares very similar attributes to Martian Manhunter, if not almost the same. Really, where they're changing here is the pigment of their skin. But what's really interesting about the character, at least from the information that is given to you pre-New 52, the Martians would clone the working class citizens of their people and then sent them to the moons of Saturn to procreate and coexist over there. So the fact that Jemm, yes, he is a Saturnite, if you will, but he also is a descendant of Martians. My biggest reasoning for having this character be more involved is the fact that when you look at these types of worlds, comic book worlds, DC, Marvel, whatever it is, these worlds always consist of a universe that is teeming with life. There are aliens all over the place. When I look at it from the perspective of the Sol system, of course, humanity being on Earth, Martians at one point being on Mars, would it be so crazy to think that other planets and the moons surrounding them and our own solar system would have more aliens that once existed here? So this just makes a whole ton of sense, especially with the Martians being so technologically advanced. They would be able to clone themselves and place remnants of their own being on other planets and their moons. The next character I have is Adam Strange, another window into the science fiction world of DC. Who wouldn't want to be a highly intellectual human who lives on another planet with a half-alien wife? With his character, it brings the ability to see the rest of the universe and maybe other aliens that you wouldn't regularly see. It is a human's escape away from Earth. You still get to be familiar with who you're watching or reading, but you now get to be placed in a world that you haven't seen before. What this character can really do is help with the sense of adventure. It's finding new things, going to new places. Now we have Black Alice, and this is a character, once again, on the magical side of the DC world, who also barely gets any recognition. Now, I've actually used and talked about Black Alice many times in some previous videos over the past couple of months. That is because I think she is a wildly underrated and underappreciated character. She has a very bleak backstory on being in a car accident with her parents, both of them dying, and her calling out to a pagan god in which one of the demons spared her life and gave her the ability to essentially steal other magical beings' powers. She's very powerful, and if unchecked and untrained, she herself could not control how dangerous she could be. I think it would be really interesting to maybe see this character as an anti-hero of some sort. Somebody who doesn't want the help of outsiders, but learns that even without her parents, there are people out there like her who will care for her and help her learn these new abilities and ways of working the world. Very often we do look at Raven as still being a Teen Titan, somebody who does have a gothic nature to her. Black Alice would be a great way to help Raven break from that mold, and now you literally have the perfect gothic magic user right in front of you. Then I have Black Racer, a concept for a character that I think is so awesome, but realistically has not been used all that much and was kind of forgotten about after his initial use. I'm a big fan of the new and old gods. I love Darkseid. He's on my top 3 DC characters of all time. And this is literally death, or at least an aspect of death, captured by Darkseid and contained in a physical form to send him out and do Darkseid's bidding. This is the closest thing I would imagine coming to a Silver Surfer of the DC universe, except this is just all bad. And since it is some sort of manifestation of death, they can never die. It can literally create superpowers. It's actually called self-power bestowal. It's even greatly wounded Anti-Monitor, and with the anti-life equation, could kill Darkseid. Anything that takes place within Jack Kirby's fourth world, you're usually gonna find me quite interested in those characters. But Black Racer to me is just really awesome because not only is it what this character can do on its own, it's the fact that Darkseid is powerful enough and intelligent enough to utilize ways to use this character as basically a glorified mercenary bodyguard. Now we have Etrigan, and I understand that from the generalized DC fan, he is probably not an obscure or lesser known character, definitely to someone that would be considered general audience, or maybe not a huge comic book reader, but I still thought he was worth putting on this list. I really can't think of a storyline that consisted of Etrigan in which his appearance worsened that particular story. The character is just so much fun to have around. His backstory is awesome, coming from the 6th century, and even some of the other characters that surround this character in history, being Morgan Le Fay, for example, are great characters to have in the DC universe. Jason Blood, knowing he is forever bound to the demon Etrigan, is just another sign of human durability, emotional durability. It's the fact that knowing you're forever tied to this creature, sometimes it even comes out when you don't want it to. And I've said it before, I think Etrigan is 100% a character who deserves a project of some sort of his own, or at the very least being shown in live action for the first time would be something very fascinating. He has a lot to offer, and I think he could easily become a fan favorite. Now, the next character is Captain Comet, or Adam Blake. He is also crazy powerful. Not only is he the pinnacle of all human evolution, he has clairvoyance, teleportation. He is just as powerful as some of these other characters in the DC universe that have super strength, invulnerable. He pretty much has it all. Maybe a big reason why he isn't used as much as other characters is perhaps he has too much of a similarity to Superman, but I think the character could definitely be used for galactic-wide storytelling, because in my opinion, you can never go wrong with too many alien stories, once again, in a world, in a universe that is teeming with life in every corner. Last but not least, of course, one of the characters I think deserve a lot more recognition, a lot more attention, is Grail, Darkseid's daughter. Of course, as I said, Darkseid is one of my favorite DC characters of all time, and the minute they first introduced Grail, I immediately knew I was going to like this character. The goddess of anti-life, the god killer, yet most importantly is she is a secret dark daughter of the Amazons. I would love to see this character officially take her spot as one of Wonder Woman's arch nemesis. I know when we look at Wonder Woman, we always think of someone like Ares or Cersei or Cheetah. But when I think of Grail, I think of a character who is so on par, so evenly matched with Wonder Woman. She has the potential to be the real deal and give Diana her ultimate test. It also offers a lot of really interesting narrative pieces too. These women who pride themselves off not being exposed and poisoned by the evil doings of man have actually had women over time be poisoned by someone like Darkseid, in which Grail was born. How does Wonder Woman look at her people, or look at the leaders of her people who maybe held this secret? I think Grail would love to be able to put down a fellow sister, this Amazonian warrior known as Wonder Woman, who is so mythical and legendary, only to be defeated by the darker sister. But there you go, guys. There's a list of obscure characters that I think deserve to be utilized a lot more than they currently are. So you guys, let me know in the comments below, what are some obscure characters in DC you would like to see used more, you'd like to see in a movie or show or an animation, whatever it might be. That is all I have for you on this one, everyone. Once again, thank you to Jason's World for the comment and the idea. And until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.